global reorganization underway, secret operations, fall of monarchies, and military alliances exposed. Welcome to the Geopolitics Update channel. Monday, October 20, 2025. Ongoing operations and global reorganization. Sources within intelligence circles suggest that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, is acting as a strategic arm of global forces. Confidential reports indicate that former European monarchies may be connected to hidden power structures. The Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark. All allegedly tied to symbolic networks of influence. And now, they are being dismantled. According to observers, the British monarchy no longer holds real power. The current representative is said to be merely a figurehead. Some claim other nations follow the same pattern, leaders replaced by symbolic representatives, just to preserve institutional appearance. But then, what's behind this movement? Military sources indicate that strategic operations are underway. The goal, to neutralize old structures and promote a global reorganization. Venezuela has emerged as one of the focal points. Behind-the-scenes information suggests the current leader may be an interpreter, while the original has already been removed. The presence of international forces in the country is said to be liberating, not offensive. To outside observers, it may look like war. But analysts say it's a cleansing, a deep restructuring. The phrase clearing tunnels is used metaphorically to describe the dismantling of underground networks of influence. Symbolic trials may be taking place. And what once seemed improbable is beginning to surface. The process is described as part of an emergency transmission system. The so-called EBS, Emergency Broadcast System, is reportedly being activated in phases. The first phase is already underway. Figures like Julian Assange and Pascal Najjardi are cited as agents of this revelation. Information is being released gradually, in calculated doses. Military sources tied to Pentagon intelligence claim that multiple informants are operating simultaneously. The cleansing is not just territorial. It's informational. Visible representatives may be acting on different fronts. Some are allies. Others, distractions. The recommendation is clear: observe with discernment. In preliminary analyses, the figure of a masked leader emerges. Said to be an infiltrated agent, operating on behalf of the alliance. But no one confirms. It's all speculation. What is known is that the plan is in motion. The strategy includes keeping certain figures in play, solely to attract allies and expose opponents. In diplomatic circles, it's said, give the enemy enough rope, and they'll reveal themselves. The operation is complex. And the plan goes beyond linear understanding. But there's more. The Earth Alliance, formed by groups of elevated consciousness, operates in coordination with these systems. They are described as Star Brothers, ancient elders, timeless beings with advanced intelligence. They work in the shadows. But their actions are beginning to surface through alternative media. And then, what once seemed impossible starts to make sense. Those still asleep face resistance. There is confusion, mental short-circuiting. But according to specialists, this is part of the process. The gradual release of information causes ruptures and opens space for reconstruction. Advanced technologies are being deployed. The QFS, Quantum Financial System, and the Mirror Glass, a simulation device, operate together. Mirror Glass analyzes future scenarios. But why so much confusion? Sources say the confusion is strategic. It protects the plan. It disorients opposing forces. and it prevents predictability. The Alliance releases randomized information, solely to confuse. Even those who study the topic don't grasp it all. The quantum computer processes multiple scenarios. It doesn't predict the future spiritually, but mathematically. Every variable is tested. Every outcome is calculated. And in every simulation, light prevails. This is the current landscape. According to military, spiritual, and strategic sources, the transition is underway. The reorganization is real. And the plan remains firm. But there's a detail few truly notice. Sources within strategic sectors affirm that the plan does not depend on collective understanding. It moves forward even amid confusion. And that confusion is part of the design. It protects the core of the operation. It prevents external forces from decoding internal movements. Confidential reports indicate that the Alliance operates on multiple levels. Some agents work in the field, others behind the scenes, and some present themselves as neutral pieces, simply to observe. The board is complex, and every move has multiple layers. The mirror glass, according to military sources, is fed with scenarios. Every variable is tested. Every outcome is simulated. And in every projection, light prevails. It doesn't matter the path. It doesn't matter the timing. The result is always the same. But then, why so much resistance? In diplomatic circles, it's said that part of the population remains trapped in the official narrative. The exposure of hidden truths causes ruptures. Some respond with denial. Some collapse. And some awaken. Silently. The Alliance knows this. That's why it releases information in doses. Fragments. Clues. Signals. Never all at once. Because awakening cannot be forced. Sources tied to spiritual intelligence affirm that the plan is coordinated by a higher consciousness. A force that transcends human structures. And that operates through multiple channels. What once seemed like noise is beginning to reveal itself as signal. And what once seemed impossible is already underway. There's a point few dare to touch. In strategic sectors, a version circulates suggesting that global resistance doesn't come solely from governments or institutions, but from invisible structures. Hidden power groups that have operated for centuries, and are now being exposed. Military sources tied to international intelligence claim that these structures maintained control over narratives, resources, and global decisions. But with the advance of the Alliance, that dominance is beginning to crumble. What once seemed solid now reveals cracks. And what once felt untouchable is starting to be dismantled. Reports indicate that information is being released in layers. First, the signals. Then, the names. And finally, the systems. All of it coordinated by a network that operates outside conventional logic. The Alliance doesn't act alone. It's composed of multiple cells. Some visible. Others completely off the radar. And each cell has a specific function. Some dismantle. Others reorganize. And some simply observe, waiting for the right moment to act. Recent analyses suggest the plan is self-adjusting. It adapts based on the system's reaction. If there's resistance, it changes course. If there's openness, it accelerates. All of this calculated through mirror glass simulations and the quantum financial system, QFS. But then, what comes next? Sources suggest that after exposure comes reconstruction. A new social architecture. A new form of governance. And a new collective consciousness. But that is still in preparation. What is known is that the board is in motion, and each piece is being placed with surgical precision. There is a layer even deeper. Internal documents suggest that the plan is not merely terrestrial, nor solely galactic. It is multidimensional, operating on frequencies beyond ordinary perception. And for that reason, many cannot fully grasp what is unfolding. Sources tied to intelligence circles affirm that a reconfiguration is underway. The planet is undergoing vibrational adjustments, and these shifts are affecting physical, emotional, and institutional structures. What once felt stable is beginning to disintegrate, and what once seemed invisible is starting to manifest. In advanced research circles, it's said that hidden technologies are being activated. Devices capable of mapping frequencies, predicting behaviors, and reorganizing patterns. Mirror glass is just one of the tools. There are others, still unrevealed. The alliance operates with precision. Every move is calculated. Every release of information is strategic. And even apparent mistakes are part of the plan. But then, what comes after the exposure? Sources say a phase of reconstruction will follow. A new social architecture, a new model of consciousness, and a new way of interaction between peoples. But that is still being prepared behind the scenes. What is known is that the board is in motion, and each piece is being placed with intention. The signals keep building. Military sources connected to European intelligence networks affirm that a silent reconfiguration of geopolitical blocs is underway. Countries once considered stable are undergoing internal substitutions. Symbolic leaderships are maintained only to preserve appearances, while real decisions are made by parallel committees. Confidential reports indicate that Venezuela has become a strategic focal point. What appeared to be a political deadlock is actually a coordinated operation. Sources claim the current leader is not the original, and that the presence of international forces in the country aims to neutralize influence networks tied to external interests. But this isn't exclusive to South America. Diplomatic analyses reveal a pattern: silent substitutions, undisclosed agreements, and military movements without official coverage. Countries like the Netherlands, Belgium, and Denmark are reportedly undergoing similar processes. What was once attributed to monarchical tradition is now seen as operational facade. What seemed like stability was merely theater. Sources tied to Pentagon intelligence affirm that these operations are part of a larger strategy. The goal: to dismantle structures that have operated for decades, and that maintain control over financial flows, media narratives, and global political decisions. But then, who's really in command? In strategic circles, it's said that coordination comes from a multinational alliance. A group composed of high-level military officers, analysts, and diplomats. They operate away from the spotlight, and every action is calculated with precision. Simulation technologies are used to anticipate reactions. Systems like the QFS, Quantum Financial System, and geopolitical analysis platforms are fed with real-time data. Every scenario is tested. Every risk evaluated. What seemed disorganized is part of an engineering, and what seemed random is part of a sequence. What unfolds before attentive eyes is a silent, strategic, and global reorganization. Sources within intelligence circles affirm that the board is in motion. The pieces are being placed with precision, and the next moves have already been calculated. Governments, institutions, and influence networks are being reassessed. What once appeared stable now shows signs of erosion. What once seemed random follows an operational logic. In strategic circles, it's said that a multinational alliance continues to coordinate actions away from the spotlight. Every move is planned. Every silence intentional. While the surface shows noise, behind the scenes a new architecture is being constructed. According to military and diplomatic sources, the transition is underway. The exposure is gradual. And the plan remains in motion. End of the report, everyone. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join the conversation in the comments. With your support, we'll have a better chance of reaching monetization, which will help us improve our working conditions. Would you consider supporting us directly? You can make a donation using the link in the description or the QR code on screen. It helps keep this project alive and independent. Thank you so much. And see you in the next report. This content is a narrative adaptation based on publicly available themes in global geopolitics. The version presented has been transformed with original style, while respecting the copyrights of the original creators. It is based on public information, analyses, and opinions, and is intended solely to inform and entertain.